Welcome to this week's REI deal breakdown. Today, I'm going to talk about a wholesale deal that made $100,000 in profit in New York, which is wild. I have done it before and I've done it again. And anytime you can make 100 grand doing an assignment of contract or a double close, it is a good day. So I'm going to tell you how the deal came about and how we ended up making 100 grand because we weren't even planning to do this, which is the crazy thing. But it ended up working out. Sometimes when you work hard and you're consistent, you get rewarded with a huge payday on a wholesale deal. So if you're not familiar with me, I've been buying and selling properties now for 10 years. I've done almost 400 properties at this point, probably even more if I actually went back and counted. So anything you learn from me on this video or this podcast is from the trenches. This is from my experience. If you get value from this video or this podcast, if you could really do me a favor, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video. If you're listening to this on audio, if you can share this with someone, put it on social media. It would really mean a lot to me. We'd be getting a lot more views and downloads. So today I'm going to talk about this property. Made 100 grand wholesale on it. So how did I find the deal? Came from a referral, right? Came from somebody else. It was a referral lead. I didn't pay for the advertising. The seller never reached out to me directly. And my buddy Matt ended up catching wind of the same lead. They reached out to two buyers basically. And we went in there and we looked at the numbers and we were like, oh, wow, this is interesting. They're asking a decent price. But before we gave them a firm offer, we wanted to see it. So I had Matt actually drive out there, who's my good friend, Matt Skoronsky. He's a homie of mine, been doing business with him for a while. I've been a high school buddy forever. So it's cool. All my friends in real estate, we all kind of went to high school together for the most part. So it's pretty cool how we're still super close 10, 15 years later. So anyway, Matt went out and walked it and it needed a lot of work, but the number that we could get it at was incredible. And it had a bunch of just junk inside. It was really banged up in this house. It was really rough. It was vacant, but it is what it is. Sometimes that's the way it is in the business. So they agreed to sell it to us. We put the earnest money down. We went into contract and we're planning to rehab this thing. So I ended up raising private money from two private lenders, went over there, put the budget together, a lot of private money. We're going to use a lot of our own cash too for the rehab. So this is a big project, right? Anytime you're doing a big rehab in New York, it's going to take 6 to 9 months to do the whole thing from start to finish. By the time you get the deal till you sell it, it's a long time in New York. So we knew that, but we knew the margin was there. So turns out that when we signed the contract with this person, this is the wholesaler / referral, it said in the contract that the seller is responsible for violations. So in New York, that's a big deal. So anyway, we were not on the hook to fix the violations. It turns out there was a ton of violations on this house, like unpermitted work and this and that and oil tank. Like it was just a mess. There's so much crap on this property. And thankfully, our contract said that we didn't have to deal with it. The seller had to deal with it. So protected us, which is good. And I remember the seller in this case, they were like, yep, we're going to figure this out. We're going to have the owner take care of it. Turns out that it was just way more work than anyone thought to get these violations cured. So we figured, if we could expedite things. And by the way, at this point, we still had no plans to wholesale this house. We were literally just going to rehab it. So we end up renegotiating. We got a big credit for the violations, which is more than fair because if I showed you the list of these violations, you'd be like, holy shit, this is crazy. So now we're about to close and I get a call out of the blue from somebody because they saw some of my other stuff online and they saw some other properties I had. And they were like, hey, I got somebody who wants to buy the exact town, that I had this house in. So I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Like I have this house that I was going to rehab. I had no plans to sell it. No plan. But I said, listen, if you want to make me a crazy offer that I can't refuse, I would be potentially open to double closing. They send their guy out there. They're like, we'll take it at the number you want. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, holy shit, if that actually pans out, we'll make $100,000. Turns out that's what happens. So instead of rehabbing this thing, we probably would have made 150 rehabbing it if everything went well, and that never happens in rehabbing. We ended up making 100 wholesaling it when we had no plans to wholesale it. So that was a great deal. That was a win. Let me talk about how to do this the right way so you don't go out and like daisy chain people's deals, because we don't do this very often. But in this case, it kind of like landed on our lap. So we figured, why not? So in this scenario, first of all, I didn't ever try to like publicly re-wholesale this thing. Like I was about to close on it, like literally 2 weeks before I was about to close on it. But somebody called me out of the blue, unsolicited, and had a buyer who was interested in buying in the same area this property was, which doesn't happen very often. And I figured, okay, well, if they'll pay this crazy price that I'm willing to sell it for, what do they say in America? Anything's for sale in America. So I made a crazy offer to this buyer and they agreed. And I had no plans to do this. But when all the dust settled and we could make 100K just basically double closing it, like, of course that makes sense. So only do this when you actually are going to close no matter what. So no matter what, whether that buyer were to flake or not, which they ultimately didn't because we closed it, we would have bought the house. We would have closed on it and we would have put it back on the market or whatever. So only do this if you're buying it no matter what, right? Because if you're buying a house from a wholesaler and then you can close on it or re-wholesale it and that wholesaler is getting exactly what they promised, what you promised them, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you do what you say you're going to do, whether you re-wholesale it or whether you flip it or whether you rent it, it doesn't matter, right? You can't count other people's money, right? Like if a wholesaler's pissed that you bought the house and sold it as is, like that's their problem to be mad at, not yours, right? As long as you do what you say you're going to do and you close, doesn't matter what you do with the property. And in this case, this offer literally came out of left field. I mean, how do you say no to a $100,000 wholesale deal that you literally didn't even plan to sell? That's the first thing. And the second thing, and I'll wrap this video up, is you have to look at when you're doing properties that need a lot of work, what is the upside versus the amount of time it's going to take? So we definitely would have made more if we bought it at the number we had it at and rehabbed it and then sold it. But we would have had to deal with the town for 6 months, which is a nightmare in this area. It's in the Poughkeepsie area. We would have had to spend $150,000 in construction, which we would have paid cash for. And it would have taken 6 to 9 months to get paid. And we would have made 150 grand. But we decided to make 100 and get paid in 3 weeks. So the time value of money and the pain in the ass, as my friend Cole Rude Johnson says, the return on brain damage, right? What is the return on the brain damage the deal is causing? In this case was way higher when you just, get this random offer from someone and wholesale and make 100 grand versus spend 150 G's to make 150 G's. That's a big project. So sometimes if you get crazy offers that are too good to refuse, you got to take them. That's the lesson. Hopefully you got value from this. Go out and find yourself a monster 6-figure deal. If you are in the Hudson Valley or Delaware or Seattle, if you have a house you want to wholesale to me or wholesale with me, as you can tell, we like making big spreads. Send me an email, greg@velocityhousebuyers.com, or a DM on Instagram @grego37, and I'll see you on the next REI Deal Breakdown.